What's happening, people? We're back in the garden and I'm going to take you through the 10 rules of property that I follow. Okay, rule number 1, property is long term, right? I think everybody knows this rule. Is pretty standard, but you're going to make your money over the long term. There's 2 reasons for that. One is you're going to make most of your money through capital growth, right? That is the value of your property growing over time, and that's only going to happen over the long term. Obviously, look, I know there are people out there who are doing flips, who are adding value and selling their properties immediately in a short space of time, but that takes skill, building skills, buying below market value. We're talking here about bog standard investing. Most people in property will make their money on the long term. Even those people who are doing flips in the short term, if they'd kept their property for 10 years, I bet they would have made more money over that period of time than they do through a flip. Rule number 2, property debt is a good thing. There's a video on my channel called Property Debt is a Good Thing. Go and check out why for a long, detailed explanation and an example. But the long and short of it is that your debt on property, so the mortgage you have, and most people will buy with a mortgage, that debt will devalue over time due to inflation. So as inflation makes things more expensive, it makes debt cheaper over time. That can be a little bit complicated. Go check out the channel if you want more detail on that. But that's rule number 2. Rule number 3. This is a well-known rule in property circles, but it's not that well known amongst the general public. You make your money when you buy. That sounds insane, right? How can you make your money when you buy? Well, you make your money when you buy because you're buying at the right price. And you know you're going to do X, Y, and Z to your property. You're not buying it above market value, you're buying it below market value. And therefore, you already know there's a buffer, right? So you make your money when you buy. Again, there's videos on the channel which show where I've made a purchase below market value. A recent HMO is an example of that. We bought it for 440k. That was about 6 months ago. Right now, today, I saw this morning a same property on that road is being advertised for 510k. So 70k difference. Okay, it might not sell for 510, might sell for a little bit less, but I definitely bought below market value. So that's how you make your money. Right, so rule number 4 is you start with the end in mind. So we've followed rules 1 to 3, right? You've bought below market value. Well, you start with the end in mind. You know what you're going to do with that property before you buy it. Whether you're going to HMO it, whether you're going to add another bedroom and add value that way, whether it's just a vanilla buy-to-let and you're happy with those numbers. Whatever you do, you start with the end in mind. That also goes for rent to rent. So when you're buying a rent to, or investing in a rent to HMO, investing in a rent to social housing, start with the end in mind. You know what you're going to get, reverse engineer it so you're paying the right price, and you build in your margin, and be conservative, right, with your profit. Be sensible in how you model your numbers. I always go a little bit higher on what I think my bills are going to be. I always go a little bit lower on what I think my rents are going to be, so that your maths is giving you a buffer. And so if things come in higher or lower, rents higher, bills lower, you make more money, right? So you always got to make sure that you start with the end in mind. Linked to that, rule number 5 is cash flow is king. In either of these games, BRRs, whether you're doing developments or rent to rent, cash is king. You can very quickly find yourself short of cash when you're doing a build. Hundreds of thousands of pounds is flying out like you wouldn't believe. When you're doing a rent to social housing, well, sometimes you're putting down the first month's rent, you're putting down a deposit, which we'd like to avoid those, but if you're just starting out, you're probably going to have to do that. You're investing in furniture, you might be doing some refurbs. All of a sudden that cash is going into your investment and you're not getting anything out the back end, and you might actually take 6 to 8 weeks before you can receive cash. A lot of social housing providers work that way. They pay you 14, 28 days later, so you're having to pay your second month's rent before you've even earned any income or had the income come into your bank account. So cash flow is king, really important. Next, education is everything, right? continuously learning, understanding BRRs, watching channels like mine, watching other channels. I've done a lot of learning on YouTube. I've done a lot of learning, reading. I've done self-education. This is critical. No matter where you are in your journey, learning how you can improve, how you can get better. You should try to apply that to any facet of life, right? But certainly to property. If you're standing still, you're going backwards because everybody else is learning. So education is super important. Keep learning. Next, contacts are key. So everybody talks about your power team. I hate that term, to be honest with you. It's used in property a lot. It's like you have to go out and do all of this on day one. Over time, you need to build up a good, strong team, right? But on day one, it's just important to have a good broker, a good accountant. If you're doing rent to social housing, maybe that's someone to learn off, a mentee. But it's really important to have these people around you that you can reach out to and have support when you've got questions. Now I'm years into my property journey. Properties come to me because we've got a good network. I don't have to really go around hunting for properties. I can pick up the phone to a broker or an accountant that are really reliable, going to give me quality information, understand me, understand how I work. That all takes time, but you've got to have that in mind to build that contact list, build a super high quality network that's going to help you in your property journey. Okay, so I have a rule. Not everyone will apply this, but I don't BRR or rent to social house anything that I wouldn't be happy spending a night or two in, that I wouldn't be happy taking my missus to and staying there for a night. I see loads of properties and I see some real dumps that people are happy to rent out, and this is what gives landlords a bad name. If you won't be happy to live in it, don't take it on, don't BRR it, don't rent it out. Rule number 9, property influencers, people on YouTube are just human, just like you. I started on the other end of the camera, right? Watching people, learning, understanding. They're great to learn from, property influencers, but they're just human. I'm just human. Anybody can do it. Trust me, I've sat down with some of the biggest developers in the country. People who have built thousands and thousands of homes. People who have built 10 to 15 homes, right? There's not much difference in all of them. These are not superheroes. They're not super bright. They're not something spectacular. The qualities they do have is they're prepared to graft. It is hard work. You have to put that in. They're prepared to take risks and they're prepared to constantly educate themselves. And for me, those are the 3 key things that you need to focus on and you're going to do all right. And finally, rule number 10, time is money, right? We all know the saying, time is super important. So you need to try and leverage where you can, leverage your time. But I wouldn't say you want to do that at the beginning. I think at the beginning, it's important to learn your business, understand, do the intricacies. You cannot delegate to someone if you don't fully understand the process yourself, if you don't know every intricate detail and you're able to talk people through them and spot when they're not doing something wrong. I work with lots of people and some people delegate really well and some people delegate for the sake of it, and it makes things slower, it makes things harder. So you've got to get that balance right. Time is money, it's really important, but also learn your business, learn property. So those are the 10 rules of property that I follow. Tell me what you think, like, subscribe, comment. See you at the next one.